What is up, my possum people, my friends, my homies? Welcome to the Offensive Points Podcast. Something big happened last week. We had the NFL free agency this week, actually. Lot of names, a lot of things to talk about. So we're going to do this one Bonnie Blue style, and we are going to talk about a lot of guys, and we're going to give them 2 to 3 minutes each, and just see how far we can get through talking to this. As always, I'm here with Josh and Billy, and guys, while you are listening to us, go and buy yourself some tickets to the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio. It is a hell of a time. We will be there. We will buy you a beer if you come up and high five us and mention the word awesome.
Limit of at least like 17 beers, because at some point it starts getting ridiculous. I don't know what number.
Josh will buy everybody a beer.
I
don't know.
I just figured it was like a mix between the three of us. Like I'll buy one, Billy buy one, and then like we'll do like a cap at 17, because like at some point it's like, let's just bring beer. Like we should.
Unlimited beer.
That's what we should do.
Unlimited trunk beers for the possums in the parking lot.
Now the parking lot.
A little bit more housekeeping, guys. A little bit.
I feel like that's kind of where we live, is in the parking lot beers.
Yeah, the parking lot beers are great. That's where the party happens. So go to the IDP Plus website. There's fantastic content on there, and check out the other channels on here. I mean, we cover offense, and we're awesome. We're offensive. It's great. We got some IDP content on the IDP channel as well. So go check that out and just be on the lookout for news. A lot of good things coming in the future for the IDP Plus family. Josh, Billy, what's up?
I feel like I've been talking, so I'll give it to Billy.
No. We've all been talking. I was trying to do the math in my head of the top 5 places you have a trunk beer. I think number 1 is a wedding, for sure.
Trunk beer, like, weddings.
A trunk beer before a wedding. I was thinking right before a concert or a
I think concert's number 1, actually.
Think so?
Yeah, I feel like wedding's probably a close number 2, but I feel like concert's number 1. You're going in there, you're gonna have to pay like $15 for a tall boy of Bud Light, and then you're like, okay, let's try to get a couple in real quick. And then that way I'm not
going with price, Vegas, great place to have a trunk beer.
That's fair.
I mean, I guess that's true.
I had a couple backpack beers in Vegas. It was like a drawstring bag. So
I was thinking like by a lake or a body of water, like by an ocean.
I was going to say after a hike.
Pre-beer.
I think we can wrap that up after an outdoor activity.
If you're on water, you're more than likely just drinking the beer there as well. So it's not really you don't really need one in the parking lot.
I guess I was really thinking like fishing, when you're like getting the equipment out and you pop a beer right when you're starting to get all your tackle box together.
Kind of like
or before a golf game when you're getting your clubs together, that's a pretty decent spot.
I would say after golf game, beer in the parking lot's where it's at. Now one left over, you already are there. It's the Midwestern goodbye. Like
it's the rare post game trunk beer that actually hits quite well.
The warm post game trunk beer. It's the
the one you forgot about. Sure. You haven't had ice since the 7th hole, and it's 102 degrees outside. Trunk beer.
When you're hot and sweaty, it's great.
Yeah. Anyway. Enough trunk beers. Let's just get into it, guys. Free agency's upon us. It's free agent frenzy. We do this every year. This year was kind of mid at best with the free agency. There still was a ton of storylines for us to talk about, so I don't want to make it seem that bad, but there is some storylines that we haven't even got to as of the recording of this podcast, and if something breaks during the podcast, we'll talk about it. But Aaron Rodgers
to the Chargers. Broke during the podcast.
Mike Williams to the Chargers.
Wait, he went back to the Chargers for real?
Really?
Love that for us.
Well, I don't know if I love that either. See, that's just kind of this whole free agency. Even that was mid, and we just broke during the podcast. Still have Russell Wilson, who's apparently visiting Cleveland. We have Cooper Kupp. DeMarc Andrews news is kind of out there, but it seems a little quiet.
Also been rumored.
Yeah, so we'll see. Honestly, it was a big defensive free agency. Like, if we were a strictly IDP pod, we'd be popping off right now. This would be awesome. But offensively, we had a few names, and let's get to it. So, I have quite a few names here, so we will talk about ones. If we feel that one deserves more time than the other, we'll just kind of go with that. So, without further ado, the first big drop in the bucket for free agency for me was Geno Smith. Traded to Las Vegas for a 3rd-round pick. Josh, how do you think this makes the outlook of the Raiders for this next season?
I think this really more so than anything tips their hat. They pretty much know they're not going to be able to get a quarterback. I mean, there's a chance that Shedeur slides the 6th. But what they said was, we want to build a team right now, and we can get ourselves a rookie, maybe a Jackson Dart later, maybe one of those guys, Jalen Milroe. But at the moment, they locked up their QB position with Geno, who's a viable option. We saw it in Seattle, and if they can surround him with some weapons, I think this can be a really fun team. Personally, I think Genty's going to the Raiders now, pretty much confirmed with the lack of running back movement that they've had. But love to see the fact that Geno Smith gets another chance, and the Raiders get their quarterback to be able to go set up the rest of the picks later. Maybe next year's their quarterback draft. But at the moment, I am looking forward to the Raiders rebuild. I mean, it's not going to be pretty to start. It's going to be a little ugly, if I'm going to be honest. But bat with Bowers and some new people, new faces there, it will be pretty fun.
Yeah, it makes sense from an NFL perspective. From a fantasy perspective, it's a downgrade for Geno Smith. You go from having DK and Lockett and JSN, now you have Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers. It's Geno Smith threw for 4,300 passing yards last year. The Raiders guys threw for 4,100 and 19 touchdowns, where Geno had 20. So it's like a lateral move with worse weapons. So I hate this for Geno Smith.
It's weird that you're down on this, though, because don't they still have Trey Tucker?
They do have Trey Tucker, and Geno does have an arm. But would you say Trey Tucker is better than DK? I'm not there yet.
No, but I mean, not to point holes in your logic. I was just messing with you because Trey Tucker is still there. But to point holes in your logic, just a tad bit, they got to do something. You know what I mean? And if Geno stayed on Seattle, what's he gonna do? He's got just JSN at this point, and then whatever they bring in afterwards.
Yeah, it's just going to be a downgrade from where he was last year, which isn't saying much for Geno Smith. It's probably good for Bowers and good for Jacoby Myers,
and whatever wide receiver they draft.
I think this is a bridge move. I really do. I mean, He's only got 1 year left on his contract because they haven't re-signed him, as far as I know. But he's 34 years old, which is never good when we're getting a new career started at 34. But it's better than 40, which is what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. So I guess there's a little bit of light there. But I feel like this is just like Pete Carroll wanting some familiarity with with his starting guy, and apparently Tom Brady likes him. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot going in the right direction here, but I don't think this completely rules out quarterback at 6. I don't. I think this is more of just like a backstop. Like, what happens if you take Shadur and you have to sit him behind Geno for a year? Now, that's not my problem. That's a Dion, potentially Shadur problem.
Geno's in the midst of the best part of his career. I don't know why we're hating on him. The man's thrown for 4,000 yards 2 times in 3 years.
He was mid last year, and that was the problem. You're not gonna win a Super Bowl with Geno. You're going to be 15 to 13 best quarterback in the league.
You'll sell more tickets than you would with Aiden O'Connell.
That's for sure.
Why they did this.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I don't know.
I'm not drafting.
Yeah. I'm not drafting Geno Smith. I'm saying I like the pieces around this. I like this. This can still be a lot of fun. Honestly, I hope Bowers takes a dip because of this. That'd be great. I mean, then I have a chance to go get tight end 1 or whatever tight end 2 he ends up being.
The Laporta dip. We'll see.
Yeah, this has the Laporta dip written all over it, but we'll get to that. All right. Second player I have on the list is Devante Adams, who signed with the Rams. 2 years, $46 million, $23 million guaranteed, I believe. So it's essentially a 1 year deal, but whatever. 2 year deal, $46 mil. Joe, do you think they're going for a Super Bowl here? Like, what kind of move is this?
Okay, this is a fantastic move. This makes an unbelievable amount of sense. You had that weird thing with Stafford where he was leaving and then he was coming back and then he was holding him hostage and then he was talking to Brady. It was a weird saga, but he's back now. Devante Adams is an absolute monster. He's the wide receiver 5 in fantasy points averaged from week 8 to week 18 last year. He's fantastic. He's still got it. I mean, the way he plays football, you're not going to see a decline for a long time, and it surely isn't going to be this year. The only thing that I am concerned about is how it affects Puka, because Puka is still going in the first round, and I think that's probably going to be where he's going at draft time. And Devante, I mean, he's probably going to go 3rd, 4th round on that point, and there's going to be a split. But he's absolutely better than Cooper Kupp, and he's going to bring Super Bowl aspirations to this team.
There's no doubt that Devante Adams is better than Cooper Kupp at this point in their careers. I mean, Adams had a phenomenal year last year and had a great resurgence at the end. But the way the Rams did Cooper Kupp was so dirty. Like, he didn't actually do as bad as we remember it. Like, he literally got injured for a few games in the middle of the season, had like 6 straight good weeks, and then they just stopped targeting him. And he got 3 targets a game, 5 targets a game. I don't know why. I mean, he might have maybe re-aggravated that injury, but like, I felt like Cooper Kupp had a fine season. Did he go for 2,000 yards and 16 touchdowns? No, he's not ever going to do that again. Probably it was a fluke season. I mean, it's amazing, but triple crown. But he's a fine wide receiver. I mean, it seems weird that they're cutting him. I know that he costs a lot of money at this point in contracts. At the end of the contracts, that's usually when it happens. But I feel like they could have restructured. Been like, hey man, you want to stay on this team? This could be really fun. Like. But maybe Kupp wasn't willing to deal. I don't know.
I think the only reason they did this, and I might be completely wrong, was that Cooper Kupp and Puka are kind of redundant. They kind of do the same things. So, like, why not go and get some guy that can win on the outside that's not like Demarcus Robinson or Tutu Atwell, who they dropped $10 million on. We're not even going to talk about, which, I mean, whatever. But I just feel like I think they were just like, you know what, we'll trade out Cooper Kupp since we already have Puka in a similar situation, and then we'll just add a guy on the outside. Kind of worked with Odell. I mean, I would say it was more playoff-based success than during the season, but he did work for that one Super Bowl run they had.
It's an epic red zone move for them because we saw them last year. They'd get down there and then they'd run Kyren Williams 3 times, and if he didn't score, they'd kick a field goal. They really didn't have that red zone presence. I thought Kupp was going to get it with that 21 targets that first game. I mean, I thought he was going to be the guy all year. But, I mean, Puka's fine, but he's more of your downfield weapon.
I think Puka had like a really bad game that game, too, and everyone was like, oh, no.
He did, yeah, and everybody went back the other way of like, oh, well, you're not going to know who to start each week. And then it was pretty much just Puka from then on.
Yeah, I think this is huge for Stafford, though. I mean, I'd be perfectly fine going into the season with Stafford as my QB1. That would be
I mean, I'd prefer him to be my backup because I think that's where you can get him. But honestly, like I'm down with the little combo waiting on quarterbacks.
Well, if you miss on like the top 6 or 7 guys, like, and you were like, all right, well, I'm just punting on this. You could get Stafford late, and that could be a guy you throw out there start.
Yeah, I know we're going to get there.
We've been saying this for a decade with Stafford.
A combo of I know, right? He's always there. A combo of Stafford and Fields, and it's like one of them's going to do it. I don't know who it's going to be. Yeah, your mobile quarterback. You got your slower quarterback.
That's true. All right. Well, we did have one break during the podcast. It is not relevant at all. It's Mac Jones to San Francisco.
2 years
back up to Brock Purdy. That's not relevant, but you know what? We're going to break anything that's relevant on the podcast, even though that's a smidge irrelevant.
Well, they lost a lot of players, so it's good to see them get one.
Yeah.
That's true.
They gutted it.
At least somebody wants to be there. All right. Third player on the list is Mr. DK Metcalf, who was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a second-round pick, which leveled out to be about pick 53 for them. This is going to be the most violent, foul-based tandem wide receiver in the league. Like him and Pickens are going to be beating the shit out of whoever DB is across from them, and I'm kind of here for it. I don't think they're going to have the quarterback to make this work because it's probably going to be like Aaron Rodgers. And like you want to talk about a band you don't want to be a part of? It's Pickens, Aaron Rodgers, and DK Metcalf. That sounds like a nightmare. But at the same time, kind of want to see it.
We don't know that Aaron Rodgers is going to be there, though.
We don't, but I'm just saying, like, I kind of want to see that. I don't know, a little bit.
I do, too, personally. I feel like he's going to choose that over the Giants because he's got Neighbors, yes, who is a freak, but that's about it. I mean, Wandale, that's not anything to be happy about. I mean, to go to a team that's fully stocked, barring running backs. Yeah, that's fair. They need a running back, man. I mean, Steelers didn't do anything. On this topic, got Gainwell and brought back Warren. And I'm sorry, but that's practically the same guy. And
I think that kind of tips their hand that the draft is going to be a running back. Now, first round, Arthur Smith, you better fucking not. But you want to grab one of these guys in the second or third, that'd be great.
Dude, if he ruins Genty, oh my God.
Oh my God, please.
Taxi Squad hero Evan Hall as well. So, should be interesting.
How about
He's
that?
Got it.
This is the year.
No, I'm super stoked for Metcalf. He needed to get off that team. I honestly thought it would happen a lot sooner once JSN got there, but 2 years later, it makes sense. I'm excited to see him, and honestly, that's what the Steelers have been needing is another wide receiver. Unfortunately, they now need a quarterback and running back too. So I don't think it's a full speed ahead for the Steelers, but I think they're headed in the right direction. Sign DK to a long-term contract, and hopefully they can keep Pickens around too. Hopefully that can be a cool tandem.
Yeah. From a fantasy impact, I mean, you have two guys that essentially do the same thing. I mean, I think Pickens and how he plays works better as a number two, kind of like an Alshon Jeffrey, if you will. But I don't really know.
You think Alshon Jeffrey's a 2. Yeah, we count him as a 1 over in Philly.
Yeah, well, he works better as a 2. He's kind of your, you need 20 yards.
We got a year out of him.
Right. But I just don't know what you do with this. I mean, DK sucked last year. I don't see it getting better this year.
I don't think it's a DK
Unless
problem.
Tom Brady retires,
I think if you get DK Metcalf 10 to 12 targets a game, there's no way he's not in a wide receiver 1 position.
But is he?
I don't think there was. I
assume he's the one, but I mean, I don't know. Pickens is.
I have no idea. There's no quarterback on this team. So it's hard to even tell.
I mean, Jeff Bell's the one that tweeted all of this so he can throw screen passes to Connor Hayward. But
yeah, no kidding. Well, I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, with Arthur Smith, like, good, get him a new toy that he won't use. Like, this will be the new Kyle Pitts situation.
I would say this is just good for Freiermuth, right? Like,
probably
for him. I mean, he's back in the tight end 1 conversation after last year. So
Calvin Austin probably boosts his value a lot. Take the eyes off of the lesser known guys on the staff.
They're just gonna have everyone run deep and hit Freiermuth in the middle. That's gonna be there.
Cordarrelle Patterson, one last ride.
Last
dance. Last dance for Cordarrelle Patterson. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Pittsburgh, I mean, they have a great defense. Again, this offense, I can't believe they have not figured this out since Big Ben went downhill. Like, they have not done anything right on offense since then. And it's kind of sad.
They didn't get his replacement for like 3 years too late. That was the problem. And then they were scrambling. Yeah. Then they got Russ. Obviously, we know how that ended. Kenny Pickett, the draft in between. It's been just a nightmare for quarterbacks since Big Ben, which is sad because Big Ben played about 4 years terrible, almost as terrible as the rest of these quarterbacks. So he stayed just a skosh too long.
The problem is, Joe, I don't trust that they know the kind of quarterback they're looking for. Like, to them, they're probably like, well, let's draft Jalen Milroe. And it's like, that dude needs a lot of work. And if they throw him out there too soon, it's not going to work. If they're having a bridge to him, they might as well just wait till next year and draft another quarterback.
I think he could at least replicate like 80% of what Fields did. I mean, I know he's
just with the legs. Worst thrower with the legs. Yeah, I guess that's
Fields went 4-2. So I mean, you can get a 500 season out of Milroe.
Here we go with the 4-2.
All right, calling Jalen Milroe just coming out of college, Justin Fields 4 years in seems a bit of a stretch, but
plus 4-2, it was all defense. It was no offense. Like, the offense was not the reason they won.
He was fine. Anyway, not what we're talking about. I think we'll get there at some point probably. But you know what this is? This is the last 2 teams in a fantasy football draft, round 7 or 8, who are just like, who's going to take that 9th quarterback off the board? That's what it is. It's I can get one later. I can go get Jaden Daniels. That was actually a great move for everybody who took Jaden Daniels. Probably want to finish it for you. But it's just, that's what it is right now. It's a stalemate. The Giants and the Steelers are doing it. Unfortunately, the Steelers don't have a backup plan if it goes through. The Giants could at least go draft one. So it's going to be interesting. I mean,
yeah, we'll see how it works. I didn't love it, but at the same time, like, I do like moves, and it was a good move, like a fun move.
I like Metcalf personally.
We'll see for fantasy. Yeah, you might be able to get him cheap this year, or some people are going to overpay for him. One or the other. There's not going to be an in-between.
There's no in-between.
All right, on to a guy that people are going to overdraft for no reason is Javonte Williams. Signs with Dallas, 1 year, $3 million. I know we have a bunch of Javonte Williams lovers on this podcast. Josh, what do you think about this deal?
I disagree with every word that you said. No, Javonte Williams on the Cowboys, with the roster as is right now, is going to have a huge year. Obviously, they're going to go draft one, which is going to make everything worse. But if they go get Amarion Hampton or Genty somehow, then this is the worst move ever, and it's just sad for Javonte for this year. But I would love to see a resurgence because he's such a versatile pass catcher running back combo. Obviously had the injury in his sophomore season and really never came back from it. And then at that time, it kind of became a committee. And he still did fine when he had the ball. I mean, his average was a little lower. Everything looked a little off. But starting out a season with 1,200 yards, I mean, he looks great, and I love the pass catching aspect of Javonte. And the Cowboys need a running back. Dowdle was not it. I don't know if it's Javonte. I'd love for it to be. He's been great, so just needs to get that resurgence. And I think this is about the time where it's shit or get off the pot for Javonte. So
Javonte Williams under 1,000 yards, fireball bet.
100% taking the 1,000 over
Rushing.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I would take that too if they do not draft a running back. Which
I'll take it.
Well, come on now, they have to draft a running back.
Here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. They are paying him $2.5 million more than they paid Rico Dowdle last year, and to be the starting running back for this team. And this is the best offense that Javonte has been on in his career.
Offensive line is not great, but they'll be fine.
They're better than Denver was.
Best wide receiver that he's played with, I guess. That's true.
I was going to say best quarterback as well. I mean, not hard.
Bo Nix versus Dax right now. Dak now is, I don't know.
To be fair, last year he was like in a three-headed backfield. It wasn't even a RB2, RB1 situation. There was like 5 guys running.
Okay, here's my thing. Brian Schottenheimer learned from Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll runs the damn football. Javonte is going to get the ball a ton, even if they do draft a running back. So I do like this signing for Javonte Williams. It's better than that hellhole he was in Denver.
100%. And honestly, like, dude, even if he continues to be where he's at, he's still a great fill-in, great depth add. If you have him on your dynasty team, obviously don't sell him unless you can get a ransom for him. But I like to see where this goes.
Yeah.
I think he is a sell right now. Because I don't think his value is going to be as high after the draft. I
feel like your draft. I mean, obviously you can trade him before the draft, or whatever. But like, I just feel like why not? It's a fucking gamble, man. And you've already had him on your team for 4 years, more than likely. So like, you're already invested. That's my logic. If you can get something out of it, sure, feel free. But I don't think you're going to get the capital.
Somebody's willing to give you a second for Javonte. I'm taking that right now, just sight unseen. They gave him $3 million. That's less than what Rico Dowdle got paid in free agency. They clearly don't. They clearly don't look very highly upon him. So I don't think I'm going to look highly upon him. If they don't even look highly upon him,
just terrible.
You know what?
I mean, fair enough.
Gary's going to clip this later, and I'm going to need this for my own personal safekeeping for whenever Javonte goes.
That's fine, and I hope that the two-headed backfield goes great. I really do, but I don't think it's going to be in Javonte's favor. But we'll see.
I don't think Jerry Jones knows what he's doing, and he's just going to
keep that's another thing.
So,
but if you're agreeing to the 1 year $3 million, what were the other offers? Like seriously, what were the other offers? If you're agreeing to the 1 year $3 million,
I think he saw an opportunity to be the starting running back and to get the next deal. So he took the 1 year and bet on himself.
There was 5 teams that needed a running back right now, and you could just go in and start and have an idea that they could draft a running back, but not in the highest of regards. Javonte did what he had to do. He wants to go to a good team. He wants to play winning football. The Broncos were pretty embarrassing for the time that he was there.
So we went to the Cowboys over the Broncos that just made the playoffs. The Cowboys are going to be one of the worst teams in the league.
The Cowboys are not going to be one of the worst teams in the league. They're going to be fine. They're not going to go. They're going to fail in the wild card for sure, like they always do. But they're not
going to make the playoffs. They don't have a team for that. They're terrible. So you think there's going to be 3 teams out of the NFC East that are going to make the playoffs?
It's a chance, at least. I mean, they're going to be vying for a playoff spot. I think you're it's weird to say that as an Eagles fan that you're underestimating the Cowboys. They literally didn't.
I just don't see how you watch the Cowboys and think that was a good football team. Joe's Bears are better than the Cowboys right now.
Am I high?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Jack just not play last year, right? Like he just wasn't there. I mean, they didn't.
He wasn't there, but even with him, he's not great.
Not good. Cool.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, 100%.
Fair enough. I don't know. I guess I watched a different Cowboys football team.
You watched a backup quarterback play with the banged up Cowboys. Yeah, they look like shit. All their D line was injured.
So when they made the playoffs, they had a pretty good team. They have gotten rid of and shredded almost all of that to last year, where he got hurt. Mind you, he did. So they couldn't even prove themselves, and then they've gotten rid of more things to make the team even worse right now.
I don't think the team's great, but they have CeeDee Lamb, they have options, they have players, they have playmakers. So
I like how you stopped after CeeDee Lamb. That's what I would think as well.
Well, I was going to say Micah Parsons.
I have 2 players,
right? They draft a wide receiver. I mean,
I mean,
think
they're better
Ferguson's
off than a
back
lot
in.
more teams than you think they are. I don't understand why.
Not in the NFC. If they were in the AFC, they're a playoff team because AFC sucks. But the NFC,
I love that
not
the
quite.
NFC took over. Remember the AFC was like the best conference for like the longest time.
Like a
Most of
decade.
our football watching.
Yeah.
I think it helped us overinflate the Chiefs this year, and that's why everybody was like, "Well, the Chiefs are 15-1 or whatever."
Dude,
and it's
no,
like, yep, they're feeding
that's a
on
whole other
bad
story
teams
that
in the
we can't
AFC.
get into without getting flagged. So we'll lay off that one.
Yeah, good point. All right, next one on the list: Sam Darnold, Seahawks, 3 years, $100 million. Josh, are you drafting a Seahawk this year?
Dude, honestly, like I'm so off. I was trying to get JSN so hard. Like I just assumed Geno would be there. Figured we had the roster, and I knew DK was unhappy. Super excited. I don't want JSN, and you can't sell him either because this is the lowest point. I mean, I don't know. Some people might be interested in Sam Darnold, but I am not, and especially with no other wide receiver on this team to be scared of. JSN's going to get double covered all year, and unfortunately, that's going to just be a bummer for everyone.
Yeah.
$100 million. Sorry,
I disagree.
Yeah,
I know.
I disagree. I think he's a slight upgrade over what Geno did. You get Clint
100%.
Kubiak in there. He's going from a Shanahan system to a Shanahan system, and Justin Jefferson, not saying JSN is Justin Jefferson, but had 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. So I think JSN can at least semi-replicate that, and Darnold can at least get him the football. Not as good as the Vikings, so I don't expect him to be as good as he was with the Vikings, but I think JSN will be just fine.
Was it because they got MVS that you feel more confident about this team now? Like
they got a true field stretcher that's going to drop the ball every time.
And Jake Bobo's there still. That's a good starting three, man. I'm just saying. Actually,
they're gonna have to draft the first round. Well, we're gonna do a mock next week. I feel like a wide receiver is gonna have to be in that mock to them.
I don't understand why you would want a guy on a team with two other wide receivers. You're more comfortable drafting that than now when he's the guy. I don't get it.
I don't know.
Explain that.
I think that the Seahawks need one. I don't know.
I was talking to Josh. He said he's out on JSN.
Oh.
Like he is actually.
Oh, I thought you were talking to Billy the whole time.
I was like I don't know.
Coming at you, man.
Because I'm out on JSN because it's one guy and no one else. So JSN's going to be the one guy getting double covered the entire time. We've seen this. This literally goes back to like not every, but the majority of football teams that go in Super Bowls. The best place on turf, that mentality. Two good wide receivers, a running back, a good quarterback, maybe a tight end. That's usually helpful. Eagles just did it. The Rams did it in 2000. Several other teams have done it. We got a running back and a half that's good on this team. Sam Darnold, who you just completely overpaid and are going to be regretting that by the end of the 3 years, and JSN, and that's it. There's nothing else. There's no tight end even. Like it'd be different if they went out and got Evan Engram or I don't know, had any tight end on their team whatsoever. I'd like to see AJ Barner do it.
What's his name? Yet. Barner. Yeah. Okay. The Barner hive is still alive.
It's just going to be to give JSN every target. I mean, that's going to be the game plan. This is fantasy.
Well, for
Super Bowl,
I was going to say for fantasy, yeah. I mean,
fantastic.
He's going to get 13, 14, maybe 15 targets a game. I mean, that's going to turn out some numbers. It did for Minnesota.
I mean, I have a feeling they probably draft a wide receiver anyway, so I feel like this whole point is moot. But
they have to. And that's what, like, the next mock draft, we're probably going to have Matthew Golden or somebody, maybe even Joe's boy Trey Harris. Somebody's going to be going to them. Where they get drafted,
second round or third round or first round, they are getting a wide receiver.
Well, they're probably going to need a couple, to be honest. But
that's what I'm saying.
This is a weird team. Weird team, weird makeup.
You could throw another guy out there, and JSN will be worth so much.
They're literally the three behind the three that I mentioned. I don't think I've ever heard of before. I just Derek Young,
no, it's
White, John Rhys Plumlee,
Jake Bobo breakout.
Who was a quarterback, by the way, in college? John Rhys Plumlee. Fun fact. Yeah, the Seahawks is a weird build, but I don't know. Sam Darnold is only like 25, so he's still got a little bit of time to figure something out. They're not going to be terrible, but they're going to be mid, probably.
Dude, I said the Minnesota Vikings were imposters last year. This is the new imposter team. I don't even think they'll even be imposters. I think they'll just try to be.
Well, I mean, the Minnesota was frauds because they were like 13-1 or whatever, and we're like, yeah, they're not that good. They're not that. But this is like an 8-9 team, better than the Cowboys.
I'll take that.
Wow.
I'll take that. Honestly, I will. Fireball that right now. Funny. Write that down.
I actually think those two teams are about even. To be honest, I think the Cowboys are.
You
bad.
said it, man. I'm just elaborating. Write it down. Come on.
That's fair. I might write it down. All right. Let's move on to our last quarterback that I have on this list, and that's Justin Fields to the New York Jets. 2 years, $40 million. It's kind of about what we thought he was going to go. Joe, Justin Fields was once the hope and dreams of Chicago Bears. What do the Jets have to look forward to with this next season? Does this help Garrett Wilson?
It does help Garrett Wilson because of the OSU connection.
Yeah.
Probably the best receiver he's played with. I would say that over DJ Moore, knowing that. But, I mean, he came in, he had, Mooney and the shell of Allen Robinson, and then he had Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney, and then he finally got DJ Moore and had a damn good connection with DJ Moore. But then he goes and he has Pickens and fucking Calvin Austin. So this guy's actually got a solid wide receiver now that he's familiar with. He was quarterback 6 in 2022. And he was, QB 7. And he was QB 6 with the Steelers through the 6 games that he started last year. All of that is his legs. And he passes, and he's going to get you points. This is fantastic for fantasy. I love where Justin Fields went. In real life, we'll see. That defense better be playing damn good. I mean, they got good guys on that team. They lost DJ Reed. They just cut CJ Mosley, so we'll see. You have to have a strong defense to support Justin Fields. But for fantasy, I love it.
Go ahead, Billy. No. Go ahead, Billy.
Oh, okay. I would say if they had Saleh still as the coach, I'd probably feel a little bit better about this because I do think that they could replicate some of what they did with Pittsburgh, where like the defense was like the heavy hand, and then Fields just wouldn't screw up enough to where they could win football games that way. Very low scoring, just trying to not make the big mistake that's going to ruin the football game. But since Aaron Rodgers decided to take a bomb and a sledgehammer to all of that, I don't think this is going to end well. I just don't. I like Fields, and I do think his fantasy value, and I think Garrett Wilson's fantasy value is in decent shape. I'm a little nervous for Breece Hall, but I think he can persevere. But anyone else other than those three, I don't like it for them at all.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm actually a little bit more worried about Garrett Wilson and Breece. Obviously, Breece Hall's stock, just in general. I know Garrett Wilson will get targets, and that OSU connection really does give me like some hope that Fields can like cling to him. He knows he's thrown to him before. Right. But for fantasy, Justin Fields is going to be great, man. Like we're talking top 8 quarterback. I don't know where he's going to be drafted, but I'd say somewhere in that range. Like all the mobile quarterbacks are gone. Joe Burrow just got hit, and then you're like, I think you might as well, right? Like I'm interested for sure, and it's all upside, right? Like we've never really seen Justin Fields thrive because he went through 3 different offensive coordinators, had coaches in Chicago, which they just aren't they turning over again. But in general, like it'd be great to see him with one coach. I don't know if this is the coach though either, unfortunately. But I'm hopeful here. I really like to see Justin Fields succeed. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think he was maybe a little not ready to play to start his rookie year, and the Bears had nothing at the time too, obviously, so I'm overly optimistic. I think this is going to be great for the Jets, like great for Jets stakes, like, you know what I mean? Like you're going to go out there, win 6, 7, 8 games, you know what I mean? Like you probably aren't going to the Super Bowl, like you probably aren't going to the playoffs, but like it'll be fun. You'll be able to watch good games. Like, I hope you're not, like, thinking, oh, this is it. But, like, y'all just had that Aaron Rodgers moment. I think everybody's kind of waiting to see at this point. Maybe, I don't know how many people are rushing out to get Fields jerseys.
I mean, Fields is electric to watch. He's automatically going to make that team more fun to watch. But they brought over, what's his name, Tanner Engstrand. He was Ben Johnson's underling. They got Aaron Glenn there, so they're trying to bring that Detroit mindset to the Jets. I mean, the offense could be fairly interesting. I
assume Aaron Glenn will stay for a couple of years, and he was the defensive coordinator, right, for the Lions. So he's got that defensive mindset. I mean, this team lost a couple key players, but they're intact. I mean, they didn't lose anything that was like their number one. So
I think Mosley is going to hurt a little bit.
also that's or no? Did they pick up Cisco? Yeah, they got Cisco, and he's always been underutilized in Jacksonville. Can be fine. Like I'm not saying he's great, but like they filled some of the holes, and I think they'll pick some up in the draft.
They got Brandon Steffens to replace DJ Reed, so it should be a good.
Also,
on paper it should work, but
they have a chance to get Travis Hunter,
Jets,
which could make this team amazing. Maybe this might be the right team for Travis Hunter, like with the dual threat, getting that just like helping Justin Fields out, do a pinch if he needs it. And then getting out on defense and him and Sauce side by side. Holy shit. Try throwing on that team. The new Revis Island.
I would take a Sauce Hunter tandem at cornerback.
That would be nasty. This is a good Tet landing spot, too. I mean, with his catch radius.
Yeah.
I mean, Fields will get it within 4 to 5 feet of you. So if you have 5 feet of wingspan, you're good.
I assume Tet's going here, but man, I feel like the Travis Hunter combo would just be fun here.
Yeah.
As we're getting further along this draft process, I more think people should use Travis Hunter as just a wide receiver. Like I know he wants to play both, but like the way these wide receivers have kind of shaped out for teams, it looks like there's not going to be that many go in the first round.
We'll get our count once he gets drafted. If he gets drafted by the Patriots or the Jets, we're probably going to see him at wide receiver quite often.
Especially because his cornerback draft looked a little bit light coming in, and it made sense, but now the wide receiver is way outweighing the scales here. So I think you're right. I think you should go for that.
He has more chance to like play a longer career at wide receiver too. I don't really understand why he wants to play corner. And he's amazing at it, obviously, but like wide receivers play into their 40s sometimes, man, or like at least close to it. Corners usually get phased out of the league at 32, like for the most part. So
yeah, I don't know. I think that it more should be like he plays wide receiver really good, like really hard for 4 or 5 years, and then as he starts to slow down a little bit, then we phase him into
a safety or something later too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he could be a 40-year-old safety.
Phase him into a little bit less usage role.
I think he's a good like prevent cornerback and Hail Mary defender.
Anytime it's the last play of the game, maybe he won't turn around like Tyreek Stevenson.
No, fuck you.
That was a
broke the Bears.
A weird stray that was caught there, but I love it. Yeah. All right. The next one on the list I have is Najee Harris, Chargers, 1 year, $9 million. Joe, was this what you hoped and dreamed for our Najee Harris?
Yeah. I mean, dude, I can't believe Rico Dowdle makes more money than him. That's absolutely asinine to me. But Najee has started pretty much every game. He's played through injuries. You don't have to worry about the injury aspect, knock on wood. But he goes to the Chargers team. They have a great quarterback, and that's going to make it very easy for him to get that. But he's got the health. He's got 1,000 yards every year. And we just saw J.K. Dobbins put up 9 touchdowns on this team. Granted, J.K. Dobbins, even with knee and Achilles injury, is still probably faster than Najee Harris, but you got a guy that can score these touchdowns, and then hopefully we can see the receiving end of what Najee Harris did early in his career with Justin Herbert. I think it's a great landing spot for him, and it immediately puts him in RB2 conversation for me. Now, with that said, J.K. Dobbins is going to tank one of these running backs. One of our running backs on one of these 32 teams is going to get tanked by J.K. Dobbins here. So
yeah, he looked great.
There are some torpedoes out there.
Dowdle will be the Chargers.
Just stay healthy, dude. But back to Najee, man, this is looking so great for both parties involved. Najee's one of those guys that's just like everyone hates him because he never got that top 5. I mean, he actually started out his career as number 3 running back, but like he never hits those top 5 numbers. So people are like, he sucks, he's a bum. Dude's just a grinder, man. He is what he is. He's a big dude who goes out there and gets 4 yards per carry. And there's nothing wrong with that. And he goes out there and rushes for 1,000 yards in all 4 seasons so far. And people hate him for that. And I don't.
It's because he's a lunch pail guy. He's not a flashy, splashy guy that you're going to see SportsCenter top 10 highlights of.
Everyone knew
he's got a lunch pail. He's going to work. He's got his coffee in one hand, lunch pail in the other. That's okay.
I thought everyone knew what Najee was before he got drafted, but everyone apparently seemed to think that he was Adrian Peterson incarnate or whatever he was supposed to be at that point. But I love this for the Chargers. I love this for Najee. Couldn't find a better landing spot. I expect career numbers here, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, he hurdles like 8 guys a year, so you
They
think
also
he'd be
It's true.
on Sports Center more.
Yeah, they also used him a lot in the passing game his rookie year, and then just like stopped, or at least way limited that. And I don't understand why, because the man can catch, and it's just basically he's starting his bowling ball position from a different spot on the field. Like, let him roll down the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only wrench I'll throw into this is they're probably definitely going to draft a running back too.
He's been splitting for 2-3 years now.
It's
Whatever.
true. It's true. And I'm not saying that it's like going to ruin him. It's more of just like I kind of wish they were like signed him to like a 3-year deal so that like maybe he could get this going for multiple seasons. But this seems like a 1-year tryout situation, and that's not what we wanted for Najee. Like that's not what I wanted for Najee.
Same. I mean, Javonte had a more storied career, but like these running backs, you'd think that the running back market after last year, I know there's a lot in the draft and free agencies, was kind of light, but there was a lot of running backs in this draft that got 1 year, in the free agency that got 1 year, and it's like, at what point is that just kind of like a slap in the face to them? Like, you just watched Saquon Barkley run for 2,000 yards out of free agency. Obviously, none of these guys are Saquon, but Najee and Javonte have talent and can be good. Like, you know what I mean? And just wild to me to see them so mistreated after a team showed you that you need a running back. And some of these teams out there looking pretty desperate with their running back rooms.
If I was Najee, I would make sure my agent was fleeing the goddamn country right now because Rico Dowdle just made more money than me. I mean,
that's factual.
It's crazy.
He had 6. So technically Najee's base deal is $5 million with $9 million potential with incentives.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I thought I saw 9.
But base deal, Rico Dowdle's making more money than Najee Harris, and that's a tough world we live in. At the same time, though, like maybe they're just looking for 1-year deals. Like maybe that's where we're at. I don't know. Like I'm kind of interested in why we gave out a lot of 1-year deals to running backs.
Well, I feel like if you go to the Chargers, you're getting tied to Justin Herbert. You're getting tied to Harbaugh. Like, it seemed like a team that should roll out a 2-3 year deal. But, I mean, he also just rented J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards for a year. I think Gus is actually still there, right? But, yeah, I mean, he rented these little
Gus is gone, too. It's literally just Kamani Vidal and him.
I thought Gus, for some reason, had a 2-year deal.
Pretty sure Isaiah Spiller isn't even there either. I think Isaiah Spiller's on a different team, too.
He made it to a new team. Proud of him.
I'll never know what happened there with Isaiah Spiller. I will never, ever understand.
They took him to Moron Mountain, dude. They stole all of his talent.
Dude, him and Devon A-Chain at Texas A&M was fucking like thunder and lightning type shit. Like, it was crazy to watch. And then Isaiah Spiller gets drafted in the 2nd round. You're like, okay, that makes sense. All right. Disappeared, gone from the earth, just blooped out, and then Devon A-Chain's gone on to be a star. I will never understand it. What happened there? Okay, let's move on. We'll move on to the guy we've been talking about this whole time, Rico Dowdle, signed by the Panthers to back up? ? Chuba Hubbard, 1 year, $6 million. Look, I'll say it. I think they overpaid him, but I mean it wouldn't be the Panthers if we wouldn't overpay it. By the way, we also got word during this podcast, another one dropped. Adam Thielen signed back to the Panthers for another season, which is good for them. But at the same time, like, Panthers, do you want to be good? Do you want to be good? Like,
dude,
I have to ask.
Thielen is not the problem.
It's not that, but it's like, can we look towards the future at all? Because like Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard is not only the weirdest combo of guys, they both kind of demand to be fed like a little bit. Like, I would feed Chuba myself with Rico being the second guy, but I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can. I mean, I do think that this kind of puts the nail in Jonathan Brooks' year. Like, I don't think they plan on him coming back this season if this is the deal they're giving out to Dowdle. But I, at the same time, kind of thought Hubbard was going to be the guy, and then you go get like a Kenneth Gainwell or something to be the second.
Well, every
I don't know.
You need a 2 running back system most teams, especially if you
but Dowdle's like really good. He seems overqualified to be.
I don't hate it. I actually love it for the Panthers. A lot of people, maybe might realize this at this point, but the Panthers and Bryce Young were actually looking really fucking good at the end of the year, and I like the idea of getting at least insurance. We know Brooks isn't going to be back for a while. They released Sanders, made a bunch of money back. And they went out and literally paid that money directly to Rico Dowdle. Like, sure, just have your cake and eat it too. Have 2 good running backs. Brooks is out for the year. You know that. Like, move on. Next year, Brooks gets his shot if he's something. If not, they got Chuba for the
True.
future.
Dowdle's gone.
This is football. This like it sucks for fantasy, obviously. Chuba.
Football.
This is business right now. This is getting the best people on that team that they possibly can. They didn't make a whole bunch of splash plays, but getting Thielen back was a great move. They'll probably go draft another rookie. Everybody's super stoked about Jalen Coker. I don't know if I can fully believe in that, but love to see it. Xavier Legette still out there. Jatavian Sanders. I mean, this is a young team and has some really good promise. Like, I want to see it. Defense is pretty rough. I don't want to get into that.
Defense is rough. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I still think Chuba's your one. I think they got backed into this situation. They got backed into a corner here where Jonathan Brooks is not going to be healthy this year. You just spent a second rounder on him last year. So you have to get a backup running back in there, and there's nothing else because you can't reinvest in the draft in another running back unless it's in the late third, fourth round. So, yeah, you have to pay an average-ass running back to come in here. And I think that's what happened. But
I just feel like I'm not gonna. I don't know. I guess saying above average is kind of extreme, but I just feel like Dowdle's a little bit better than what they want to use him for. But whatever. I mean, at the same part, you're right. Get the best players on the field you can. This is going to be a weird team to succeed. If they're actually good, I'm going to watch it and still just not believe it that Bryce Young, Jalen Coker, Jatavian Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, old-ass Adam Thielen in his wheelchair. I'm just not going to understand what I'm watching with this. Like, it's going to be working, but I don't know.
I just saw they got Rosaboom too from the Rams. That's awesome. Didn't see that.
They thought they had Milton Williams for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, they tried to adjust that D-line, and I assume that's what they'll draft in the draft. Probably, Derek Brown.
Well, they have him. They just needed to get a Milton Williams to put across from him, and then they would have pretty devastating D tackle line. But they lost him, unfortunately.
By the way, I think Thielen and Harrison Smith have a bet going on who can play the longest. I think that's what's happening here.
Get back from the Minnesota days. Yeah, probably true there. All right. All right, we have a couple more pieces that are actually going to mean something. Then we got a few that I don't think are mean much, but I think we need to mention them. So next one that probably is going to mean something just dropped today. Evan Engram signed with the Broncos, 2 years, $23 million. There goes our Colson Loveland hope for the draft for them. I don't think that's going to happen now. Josh, are you drafting Evan Engram this year if you have the option?
100%. I think he's going low enough to where it's not going to be a problem for you too. You're not drafting high capital on him. What, tight end 8, 9? I don't know where exactly he lies, but that's where I'm guessing. And you can go grab him and someone else type thing. Like I would love to if his workload continues from what he had. I'm loving it, but I don't know what Denver's going to bring. This is a great receiving core at this point. All of a sudden, now that they got a tight end. Good receiving core, and I imagine they're adding. Yeah, it was a little bit tough, a little bit of a reach, but I imagine they'll probably be adding some in the draft too. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. I've heard some rumors of Sutton leaving. Don't know if it's after or before this year ends, but dude, Engram can do some things, man. He plays like a wide receiver. He's what Kyle Pitts was supposed to be, and it's kind of funny because he was here all along. So excited to see him.
Yeah. I think Evan Engram fits perfectly with Bo Nix and what Bo Nix did at Oregon. I mean, you just want those short little dump-off passes to a safety blanket. That's Evan Engram. And then that opens up Marvin Mims. That opens up Cortland Sutton. But, no, I love this signing. And, yeah, absolutely invest in Evan Engram this year.
That's about where I'm at, too. I'm hoping that he's closer to 2 years ago. Evan Engram, obviously, he got injured last year, and that was kind of not helpful.
I think that's good for us, though, because I think everybody's going to look at him. Oh, he only got 300 yards last year. He sucked. And it's like, no, he got injured. Like, that happens.
Yeah. Well, and he's not playing with Trevor Lawrence anymore, which is a big help for a lot of people.
This is a boom for him. I mean, I know he's 30, but it really doesn't feel like when he's out there, he doesn't look 30.
No, and the role he plays is fine for a 30-year-old guy. I mean, he's not trying to play Marvin Mims' role. He's just catch 8 balls a game and get 45 yards, and that's 13.
Yeah, Sean Payton's been weird with tight ends, though. Like, I just, let's go back to, like, what we did with Jimmy Graham, less what we're doing with, like, the last 3 that they've had, or that he's had that haven't, been nameless random people.
Speaking of that, do you see what Juwan Johnson fucking signed for? $10 million a year?
Yeah.
Jesus. Is it ever going to happen?
They're hoping so, but yeah, I don't know about that one. Well, then again, Saints are just in hell. Sorry, Rue.
It's so
your
sad.
team is in a dark place right now, unfortunately. Yeah. So Evan Engram. I mean, at least it's a good tight end. I don't know if he's one of my like trusted guys. I know he's going to get points, but he's definitely a guy I'll draft if I've missed out on the like 5 guys that I can trust. So I guess in that aspect, we'll see what happens there. All right. Next player, Christian Kirk.
Real quick. Before, you already gave it. No. All right. Well, okay. I was gonna say. So Evan Engram is currently being drafted as tight end 14 in the current. This might have been pre-ranking before he goes to Denver. So let's just bump him up a couple spots. Put him at 12. Kincaid's around there. Goddard's around there. Kyle Pitts is there. Loveland, Tucker Kraft, Tyler Warren. I mean, I'm down to grab 2 of those guys.
That's about where I would feel comfortable with Engram. So yeah,
and you're grabbing him as your backup tight end. Like if you went and got, I don't know, Tucker Kraft, and you're like, maybe that's not going to be it because it's Jordan Love. Let's grab another one.
It's funny you said that. I was going to say Tucker Kraft and Evan Engram would be like the perfect tight end room.
Just really would.
Let it roll.
Breakout options. Yeah, I mean, all right. Anyway, sorry, I had to get that out of the way. It took me a second to pull it up.
All right, on the next player, Christian Kirk. Traded for a 7th round draft pick to the Houston Texans. A rare interdivisional trade. You don't normally see that a whole bunch. When you want your rival to not be good, you just trade them one of your wide receivers on your team. I'll take this one because I love Christian Kirk. Look, I think that he kind of fits this team more than Stephon Diggs did. I did like Diggs last season, but I think this kind of like truly makes Nico the number 1. And then you have Christian Kirk is the number 2. Not sure when we're going to see Tank Dell back. I do think they still need to figure out someone to put in the 3 there. But as far as Christian Kirk goes, like I think we can at least put his arrow pointing all the way up. I'm ready to see what we can do here because I think he's better than a 7th round draft pick, and I think he's going to make the Jags kind of pay a little bit for doing that.
Yeah. I think the Texans are just in scramble mode right now, and they're like, "Hey, let's get wide receivers in the door. We're not bringing Diggs back, or at least at the moment. Tank Dell's out for the year, more than likely, or too long to be trying to get to the playoffs without him." They went and got Kirk. I think Kirk's a fine wide receiver, a fine number 2 or number 3 on a team. Like, there's nothing wrong with him. Fantasy-wise, he's not sexy, but for the actual team himself, he's going to help that team and drop the ball, or get the ball or everybody off of Nico Collins' back and let him do his thing. So Nico, actually great that he got possessions, kind of, mid slot receiver type guy. And then they went and got Braxton Berrios and Justin Watson, 2 guys who are known for fill-ins. I think this is going to be a huge committee behind Nico. I think Nico is the only valid option wide receiver-wise. Christian Kirk's a fun. I would like to see it. I'm excited for him.
You are putting Kirk on the level with Braxton Berrios?
No, but I'm talking Mechie.
Okay, you said committee, so it makes it seem like those are the same level.
No, I don't think you're going to be able to tell when it's a Christian Kirk game, is what I'm trying to say. I think they're going to mix in all these other guys. I think Kirk's going to be that guy who goes out there and gets 3 and 4. It kind of sucks for him for fantasy. He might be able to be good because he will have that option to be the true number 2, and Stroud's going to have to throw the ball, obviously. But I think Nico's your guy, and I think this gets everybody off his back, which is great. Lets him cook. So,
yeah, okay. I mean, I think I couldn't disagree with you more on that one.
Okay.
I think that for fantasy, I mean, if you take the half season we got from Tank Dell and the half season we got from Diggs and combine those, it's 145 targets that are going to be given to Christian Kirk, with the exception of 20, 30 of those going to Nico like they should. So I think this helps Nico a lot in his fantasy value, and I think Christian Kirk walks into 100 targets a game, or 100 targets a game would be awesome, a season. And, I mean, if we can get 80 catches out of him and 1,000 yards, I think that's a fine wide receiver too.
All right, I was going to say, I think this is Jacoby Myers. Like, this is literally what the Jacoby Myers situation has been. I think that's what Christian Kirk is in right now. Like that.
No, you're absolutely right. Kind of I'm more concerned about their offensive line. I mean, they got rid of Tunzel and Green, and I mean, are we just ready to kill CJ Stroud already? I mean, is that their goal? I don't know.
Seems like it.
Real quick, Christian Kirk has had three 100 target seasons. He finished wide receiver 11, wide receiver 26, and wide receiver 38. I think you're looking at wide receiver 26 to 38. I don't think we're getting wide receiver 11 on the field. I'd love to see it for Stroud's sake, but
this is the best quarterback he's had.
Even with the high, he's only had one quarterback. I'm not even in Arizona.
He played in Arizona.
Yeah, true. I forgot about that. Still don't. I'm just not going to get excited just yet. I think this is a 800-yard season, maybe 4 touchdowns. Like it'll be fine for a bench fill-in, but I just don't think you're getting a starter.
The Eagles have 2 wide receivers, and it works. The
last
Houston
year we had
Texans can
Nico,
have 2 wide receivers.
Tank Dell, and Diggs going in the top 3 rounds.
You're putting Kirk on the Devonte Smith level then, or are you putting him on AJ Brown?
I'm saying that it's the same model.
Okay. I think it's a model that works when you have 2 good receivers.
You have 2
Kirk's fine.
Okay, so last year we had Tank Dell, Diggs, and Nico going in the top 3 rounds.
Yeah, I thought that was dumb. I knew
now
it wasn't.
2 of those guys have morphed into 1, and we're like, nah, that's like a 8th round pick.
Unfortunately, it kind of worked. Like
that ain't mathing, dude.
Because even Nico's probably going to miss a couple games, so even those games, he's going to be the one on the team. He's going to get force fed.
You guys think that? Okay. I want to fireball bet on whatever you guys want to fireball bet on about Christian Kirk. Give me a stat line you feel comfortable.
He said top 30.
He's a wide receiver too.
Top 24. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. 100%.
Right. Mark.
Give me 2 fireball bets on that.
All right.
Should be.
Who's next?
Pretty simple. Jesus. All right. Yeah. Well, Christian Kirk. He's on Houston now. It's a lot of fun.
I just want to clarify.
It is odd that the Jags traded him. By the way,
I am excited for Christian Kirk for Houston, just not for fantasy. Like I think this will actually help the team. I just don't think it's going to be like a consistent basis. So
fair.
All right. Fair enough. All right. On to the next player on the list. The Ravens have announced their next victim that they are going to send off into fantasy, the fantasy beyond. That is DeAndre Hopkins. He has signed with the team where wide receivers go to die, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. 1 year, $6 million. That's it.
I don't care about Hopkins going there and ending his career. I don't care about the Ravens using him. It's just kind of like whatever. Like at this point, it's like Hopkins couldn't do it with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not excited about him going to an actual mobile quarterback who already has a number 1 wide receiver, already has tight ends, has a running back. It's fun for Hopkins, I guess. Like he'll get to hopefully actually throw some jump balls to him because that was what he was known for, and Mahomes just wouldn't do it. He just had to sling little rocks to him. Yeah, I just don't care about this one.
I will not be drafting him, but it kind of seems like Lamar and Hopkins would be boys, and there's an opportunity that Hopkins could have a halfway decent touchdown season, I think. But I will not be drafting him.
Who was the tight end who caught all those touchdowns but like did nothing ever? About 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, I know it's a tough
every tight end in the league.
I was about to say for them, I remember Dennis Pitta. Remember Dennis Pitta?
Dennis Pitta, that's a good one.
I mean, that's a poll right there. That's from a long time ago. It's not 4 or 5 years, but he would do that. Or what was it, Heap? I think he would also do that. The Ravens always find those guys that all they would do is just score a touchdown, and that's it.
I couldn't tell you.
I didn't figure there's any way Josh was going to figure this out in time, but fair enough. Okay, that's the last real guy that's everybody knows and loves. I got a couple more I want to bust through here at the end. Josh Palmer signs with the Buffalo Bills, 3 years, $36 million. We've kind of wanted Josh Palmer to happen. Well, at least I have. Just wanted him to happen, and he's not happening. So with the Bills, do we see anything different happening here?
I think they had a vision for Amari Cooper, and they were not able to do that with a stud wide receiver. So they were like, hey, let's get another Amari Cooper type player in here. And Josh Palmer has had 4 100-yard games in his whole career. So the Bills, I'm sorry, you just overpaid for nothing. You just flushed $30 million right down the toilet. It's
Josh Palmer is going to send you a gift card, by the way, for putting him in the same sentence as Amari Cooper. Comparing them.
What's that SEO, right? Hey,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think this is a bad signing for them. Hopefully, the 3 years makes it to where it's not a terrible move for them. Because Josh Allen has proven time and time again he doesn't want a wide receiver one. Like Amari Cooper got mad and stormed out of the team because he wouldn't throw the ball to me enough. Josh Allen doesn't throw to one person. He throws to everyone.
Josh Allen does want a wide receiver one.
I mean, would it be nice to have on the team? Yes, but he needs one without an attitude who's going to get mad if he doesn't throw him the ball because Josh Allen's just trying to win football games, and it's sad that he can't win in the AFC Championship just like to save his life. I want it to happen for him, honestly. I was hoping it would be Bills-Eagles, but this is a great piece to have. I mean, 12 mil is a bit of a stretch if I'm being honest signing this contract, but I assume they have an out after 2 years. This just adds another mouth for this team, and honestly, just kind of further puts me away from all the other wide receivers on this team. Like, I don't know how I feel about Shakir. You got a relatively similar person in Josh Palmer. And then Keon Coleman's yet to really break out. I feel like he's probably in for a bit of a resurgence his sophomore year. And then they have these two tight ends that are just like, who is it? Like, is it one of them? I don't even know. So you got a lot of mouths to feed on this team. Getting another one out there, it's really good to have depth. But yeah, to pay him like a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2 seems a bit tough. So
I feel like James Cook, you take high. Josh Allen, you take high. I think Khalil Shakir should stick about where he's at with the 7th round, 8th round pick. And then Josh Palmer, I would take a late flyer on. But that's been Josh Palmer's entire career. Like the whole career of Josh Palmer has been a late round flyer, just hoping that this will be the year that he finally pops. But
I think Keon Coleman's going to be a late round flyer as well. It's like if you want to do that, that's fine. You're not wasting your fantasy team around it. I think Shakir's a little early. I think he's probably going to go earlier than 7th because I think everyone's going to be like, who is the wide receiver 1? It's Shakir. And they'll be like, yeah, sure. Take him at round 6, round 5.
That's true. I was thinking true value, but you're right. Somebody's going to
where he
take
should
him
be
early.
is probably 7. Yeah, 8.
Yeah.
Josh Palmer is going to win someone $1 million in week 5.
It's going to be one. Yeah, dude. He's going to have
1 week. It's going to be 1 week on
DraftKings.
Yeah, it's just going to be 1 week. Yeah. It's going to be awesome, and then
he's going to be the free agent darling. Everyone's going to want to pick up, and people are going to be mad when they don't get him. And then he's going to have maybe one more good week, and then everyone's like, "I told you, it's Josh Palmer season." Then we never see the man again.
So everyone's going to draft him in round 7, and then everyone's going to drop him, and then he's going to have a monster game, and then you're absolutely right, Josh.
Yeah, I think this is a great. We just wrote the script for Josh Palmer season.
True. Okay, well, we'll bust. I didn't even know we were going to talk that much about Josh Palmer. We'll try to bust through the rest of these.
Real quick, I'm not done with Josh Palmer. Joe, when Josh Palmer has his breakout and everyone rushes for him for free agency next year, we're going to take a shot. That's for us.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay.
Well, Josh Palmer bet, but it's not even a bet. It's just like
it happened. A little nod to the gods, right?
Yeah,
he will be a guy for sure. Or if Shakir gets hurt, he'll.
I'm talking about the free agent pickup though. Everyone's like, "Oh, Josh Palmer, you should pick him up," and you're like, "Fucking nailed it." Week 4, week 5.
No, that's true.
All right, sorry.
Okay, we can get through these next ones pretty quick. I hope, but we'll see. Next one's Demarcus Robinson, 49ers, 2 years, $9.5 million. I would love him if he was on the Rams. I do not like that he's on the 49ers. This team is just a collection of misfit toys. I don't want really any piece of this offense. Christian McCaffrey's up in the air right now. Kittle's still solid. I guess I forgot about him. But even Ayuk, anybody on this team, I don't even know who would be the next piece that I'd want to grab because I think it's just a jumbled mess.
Juwan Jennings is the only one that and Ayuk, obviously. This is just a depth signing. This was like, hey, we lost Debo, we should fill it in with something, and this is what it is.
It's crazy because he actually meant something to the Rams. If he was on the Rams, I would feel really good about him this year.
He had some really good games, but I mean, he'll catch a ball. I just think he's not fantasy relevant at this point, and I don't think he ever will be unless there's a huge injury. He's going to be another free agent scramble. If Ayuk never comes back and they need someone, but honestly, they got a starting roster to start, and then Demarcus Robinson's just going to have that one play. He's going to play the D-Jax role, hopefully get a deep ball and set him up for the next play, and then we'll see you later in 16 plays.
Yeah, I think he's your fill-in until Ayuk comes back, if he does at a reasonable time this year. But he is not an Ayuk replacement. That's just a 49er fill-in.
That's fair. All right, next one on the list, Mack Hollins, 2 years with the Patriots for $8 million. New wide receiver one? No, I'm just kidding. I don't think he's going to be relevant. We still need to get some wide receivers on this team, but he's another guy on the team.
Dude, how is this the only free agent wide receiver they went after? And I'm not saying they needed to go after one of the big names. Like, honestly, Demarcus Robinson would have been better. MVS would have been better.
Stephon Diggs is still out there. I wouldn't.
All right, well, he's coming. He's coming in injured. Josh Palmer would have been better, but apparently he wanted way too much. You're not going after a big name like a couple guys that we're about to talk about would have been better. Like it's just that's it. That was the one wide receiver you're like we need him for free agency. Mack Hollins, the guy. Anyway,
the guy. Here's what the Patriots do. I'm tell you right now. Abdul Carter is going to slip to him. The love of God. And they just signed Harold Landry, so they're good. They don't need an edge rusher, even though Carter's fantastic. They're going to swap with Cincinnati, who needs everything possible with Trey Hendrickson.
God.
And T. Higgins will be a Patriot.
Yeah, okay. I knew this was headed to T. Higgins. I didn't know how we were going to get there, but
so much love for my guy.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, they needed to sign one of these big name guys and go get a rookie is the problem. Like that's the issue here. They're gonna go get Genty. Like it is what it is. They're gonna make this a wash here.
Please don't do this to us.
They're gonna do
fancy gods. Please don't do this to us. I don't want Genty.
I don't know how you guys haven't seen this. I've been mocking this since the minute we started mocks. Like.
No, the Patriots are not taking Ashton Genty. That's
not the Patriots. Sorry, my apology. Oh wow, I was thinking Vegas. Wow. Either way, they both
Raiders, sure. Patriots, God, please don't do this to us.
Mack Hollins was on.
I would love if Mack Hollins is fantasy relevant and he's just like a top 30 guy this year. That would just be fantastic. Because I think we've been asking for it for years. I mean, Miami.
No, I never asked for it.
Oh, God, I love Mack.
Other than Demario Douglas, I don't want anybody on this team. Just don't.
Fair.
Okay.
Take T. Higgins.
Next one. Nick Westbrook-Ikhene, the star Tennessee Titans wide receiver, has signed with the Dolphins. 2 years, $6.5 million. I'm just kidding, by the way. He just caught a couple of touchdowns for a couple weeks straight. Won me a hell of a lot of money in DraftKings, but at the same time, does this move the needle at all for the Dolphins?
No. I mean, I guess. I mean, it's a better number 3 than they've had.
I don't think the Tyreek saga is over, so we'll see what happens there.
Please don't let that be the case. But
maybe that's what this is.
I think it just tanks Malik Washington. Everyone was really excited. I was really excited.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that just tanks him.
Well, we got Malik and Taj. Taj Washington, too. Can't forget.
True.
The Washington Bros.
All right, we don't really need to talk much about that. Last one, Dyami Brown signs with the Jaguars, 1 year, $12 million. I'm going to be real with you. The Jaguars front office, like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't agree with it, but okay. They got rid of Christian Kirk for a 7th round pick, which I get he was owed some money, but then to go spend $12 million on Dyami Brown, it's like a bit of an overpay for a guy that just isn't very good.
It's $10 million. It could be worth. It could be. It's actually $10 million because it's
fair enough. Still $10 million when you could get Mack Hollins or Nick Westbrook-Ikhene.
You could have Josh Palmer for that money. You know
that's true. You could have had Josh Palmer for similar money. It's just like I don't know what the Jaguars are doing. If they're gonna burn everything down, then burn it down. Like you can't do it halfway. Can't leave half of a burned building. It doesn't make any sense. And by keeping like Travis Etienne, like if that would be a piece I would see. Like if they were going to burn it down, that would be a piece they would move for something. But they kept him, which is okay. But you got to be all in on that move, in my opinion. If you're going to,
I guess they only watched like tape in his postseason and was like, dude, 200+ yards in the postseason for a guy like. He's really good, and then they like.
I think they only watched the regular season tape of the Jags. They're like, who the hell is Christian Kirk and Evan Engram? Were they on this team? Yeah. I haven't even seen them. Let's just get rid of them. They're not used on this team.
Yeah, my man had 300 yards in the regular season. Like, what are we doing here? And 10 mil?
Yeah. This just means Brian Thomas is having the best year since Antonio Brown.
Yeah, because they didn't even add any. Like this move makes you think that there's no way they're going to draft a wide receiver high. Like, they might draft one, but it'll be in like the 4th round, which isn't a real threat to BTJ right off the bat. Like, I just don't. This is the most confusing move that I've seen. But then again, it's the Jaguars. But, when they hire a guy that's our age to be the GM, we have to think, what are we doing here? Because we still think, I don't know, that's a bad idea. Like, what is this guy thinking? I don't know.
I just don't understand why he was paid so quickly. Like, we had this. I mean, I know he wasn't technically paid till today, but he was one of the first names off the board.
He was.
The
market must have been real hot.
The market was hot for Dyami Brown.
Which is insane.
I was like, and I've never seen a single thing from him other than catching a touchdown where he's standing in the back of the end zone and Jaden Daniels finally throws it to him. Like, he's honestly the new Christian Kirk.
I liked him coming out of college because he was on that Javonte Williams, Michael Carter team, and Sam Howell. But, I mean, he hadn't done anything. He's not been very good for Washington. Like, I don't really get what's going on here. But good for him cashing in. He got one postseason, and he's getting paid off for it. It's quite awesome to see.
Another Washington bro, Parker Washington. Probably be picking him up if he's available.
Good one, Joe. Do they still have what's his name that came from the Bills? Only had the good playoff performance.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Gabe Davis.
Davis.
Yeah, they do have Gabe Davis.
Yeah, they do have him.
So maybe they just watch playoff games and they're like, you know what? We're getting that guy. He's a playoff performer. He's gonna take us over the top.
Can I nominate someone?
Sure.
Okay.
We have re-signs to still get to, by the way, but not for the audience, not for you. We still have re-signings to get to, but yes, Joe, who do you got?
Elijah Mitchell to the Chiefs. I know it's not a popular one, but the problem with Elijah Mitchell is he's always hurt. But when he's healthy, he's actually an awesome running back. And I would argue that he could be a 1A, 1B with Pacheco, especially with the way they use Pacheco going into this season or at the end of the year. With Kareem Hunt, obviously he was injured. But I think Elijah Mitchell is actually pretty serviceable. And the Chiefs got him I think they paid him 3.5 or something to get him on the team. Yeah. So they paid him what they could have paid Javonte. So they obviously feel pretty good about him.
I think it's an absolutely phenomenal signing. I was trying to say they're going to go after a running back in the draft. Didn't really think about free agency, and I really didn't even think about Elijah Mitchell. That was a great pickup for them. He just got buried on the depth chart because San Francisco is so good at drafting running backs, but yet traded for Christian McCaffrey to win the ship and never happened. So a pretty sad moment for the 49ers fan base, and not touching the fact that they lost the majority of their team. But no, Elijah Mitchell going to the Chiefs is a great move. Give something behind. They learned last year that Pacheco can't be the only one. They need a second at least. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go after a rookie too. Just have three people in that backfield.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. I feel like. So before we move on to the re-signings, I do want to mention, because I also didn't mention Samaje Perine signing. I don't know. For fantasy, for Dynasty, I think that means something because it's a guy you can go grab and have somebody in your back. But for regular redraft, I was like,
I still like how they responded. The GM responded to the tweet that he signed with the Buccaneers, and Jason Light was like, "No, he didn't." Did you see that?
That's funny. No, I did not see that, but that's fantastic. Funny.
He commented on the post. He was like, "No, we didn't."
That's funny. Okay, before we move on to that, so after all of this is shaken out, our guy Ryan McDowell on Twitter put kind of like the RB Dynasty landscape. He has 3 teams that currently don't have an RB1 going into the season. It's Denver, because he has Estime McLaughlin being the 2 to whoever that is. He has Las Vegas, which we've kind of talked about already. And he has Pittsburgh, which Warren is there, but I don't think that we necessarily think he's the running back of the future. And Gainwell, which, again, maybe not running back of the future. Good help, though. Is that kind of how you all see it? Those 3 spots are the teams that need a starting running back coming out of this?
100%. I mean, I would not be shocked at any of these guys who signed 1-year deals to go after one. Like we talked about Dallas, not to mention the Chargers going after a rookie running back in the 2nd or 3rd round. Some of those Caleb Johnson, Travion Hendersons, Judkins. like they all got to find landing spots, right? Like, and they're not in desperate need. Like, I feel like that's more of the landing spots for like Denver or not Denver, more for like Dallas and Los Angeles Chargers. But like when you go to like the Broncos, you're like, okay, they're probably going after Hampton, right? Like, I don't see a world where they get Genty. They'd love to see it too, but maybe we'll see like one of these teams freakily trade up and go get him. Like, who knows if they slip past. I think everyone gets hyped right now and wants to put Genty in the top 10, which I still think he's going to go. Like, I think it's very clear that he's the best of this class. So it'll just be interesting to see, man. I'm ready for draft night just for that fact. And not to mention we could hang out for like 4 hours. So always great time.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know. I still think the Browns and the Vikings are very intriguing landing spots for me.
I agree.
I don't think Nick Chubb's been signed.
Well, I was going to name off the ones that haven't been signed yet. We got Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins, Alexander Madison, Cam Akers, Kareem Hunt.
You could stop your list.
And technically Jordan Mason could be traded for. Same with Warren, but Warren's got a second-round tender on him. Ain't no way in hell somebody's going to pay a second-round draft pick for Jalen Warren.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like
available.
I think Minnesota. I don't think Aaron Jones at his age right now is your number one. So if a guy like Hampton were to go there, that would still be a fantastic landing spot. And then obviously Cleveland, because we know they want to run the ball.
Yeah, unfortunately, 1, 2. I think I even said this in a text the other day. Like, there's like 6 great to good running backs in this draft, probably more than that. 4 of them are going to have viable landing spots. There's going to be 2 that are just like, it's not this year, like, but it's the future type situation. And Hampton, unfortunately, I feel like is going to be in that boat where he gets drafted to the team that doesn't quite need him yet. But
which is going to suck, by the way, because he could definitely play right now. And
yeah, 100%.
I think Cleveland sitting at 34 right there could absolutely
that's true.
One of those backs.
Cleveland needs one too. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Cleveland definitely needs one. So
yeah. All right, let's get to the re-signings real quick. I don't know if there's a whole lot to talk about, but it does need to be mentioned. First one is Mike Gesicki. We were kind of thinking maybe Cincinnati would grab a tight end in the draft, but they said nope. Let's give a guy $12 million when we can't pay any of our stars. I love the Bengals, by the way, are the best franchise for this, man. They're like, we're going to make big signings. They're not going to be any of the guys that you want us to sign, but we're going to give people money on this team that, probably not in our pocketbook that we need to. So Mike Gesicki back for another year. Do we trust him at all? I mean, no, not really. Maybe, kind of.
He was fine. This team's so fucked, dude. They fumbled.
Yes.
They fumbled this so hard. I mean, Chase is going to get $50 million a year at this point if they keep waiting for him. And it's just horrible. Fuck the Bengals. I used to cheer for this team, but the way that they've handled this, I cannot cheer for them anymore.
Yeah, they've really ruined this.
I actually think Gesicki had one of his better years here. I mean, he didn't really get as many touchdowns as you'd like to see from a guy who's 6'6", but they also had Chase Brown doing a lot of stuff. Chase was catching 60-yarders all day, so it's gonna be ugly, but they'll still be a playoff team. I mean, and then hopefully they can get their contracts in order. They just should have staggered this a little bit more instead of all at once. It's the Cowboys situation too. They're just sitting there like shit. And then
this one might be worse though.
Yeah,
this one might be worse.
You gotta lock it. You should have locked it just 3 years ago.
Sam Hubbard.
Yeah, Hubbard's like, you know what? Fuck this amount. I'm not gonna do this anymore. I do feel like that was probably in there.
Going anywhere else.
I mean, Miles Murphy's a fantastic IDP pickup right now because, I mean, there's a lot of good edge rushers in this class, but he's essentially free right now. I think everyone's free.
That's a great point.
For sure. Okay, next one. Don't really need to talk much about it, but Josh Allen signed through 2030, $330 million, $250 million guaranteed, highest paid quarterback. Don't really need to talk much about it, but I still think that's an insane contract.
Horrible. It is, but I mean, Mahomes is also locked up through 2031 or something like that. I mean, it's just
probably needs to be re-upping his contract a little bit.
Trevor Lawrence is the longest signed. I don't know.
They just restructured Mahomes' quarterback or contract and gave him like probably $40 million to walk away with right now. I think he's fine.
Yeah, true.
Go Josh Allen.
Okay.
Good for you. MVP.
Yeah, good for Josh Allen. Good for dynasty owners of Josh Allen. You're set. All right, next one is pretty splashy. Chris Godwin, 3 years, $66 million. I kind of like this, and I kind of don't. I like it for the aspect of keeping the team together, keeping the core together. I will say Chris Godwin's not been the healthiest guy in the world, so giving him $66 million for 3 more years it's a little rich for me. Not that he hasn't earned it in overall. I don't know. Let's be as diplomatic as possible about this, but like I don't think he needed to be paid that contract. Not that he hasn't earned it or deserve it. I just don't think I personally would have done that.
Yeah, I don't quite get it because Evans has been the guy who's your glue, right? And you only got him signed through this year. Bringing Godwin back 100%, I understand why you thought you need to do it. I just feel like it was time to let him walk, and it was just like let the training wheels off, go find someone else. Love Chris Godwin, and if he's healthy, he's going to have a good season. But once again, we're looking at like a wide receiver 2 season. Like it's going to be 1,000 yards, maybe 5 touchdowns. Like Mike Evans is your true 1,000-yard receiver every single season he's played with you. You got to lock that up for the rest of his career. Mike Evans needs to be on this team for the rest of the career, and you might have just put that in jeopardy because he's going to probably walk next year and go to a different team, unless you can somehow figure out a way to sign him too. And in which case, you just got 2 aging vets over and over and over again, and then all these other young guys never get a chance to play. I mean, not that they've drafted any great ones.
Jalen McMillan's fine. Whatever. If you want to bait me into this conversation, Joe, just go on with your thing.
My thing is it absolutely nuked Jalen McMillan currently. I mean, we'll see what happens with Evans next year, but everyone who thought that they just had one of the most valuable wide receivers in fantasy, sorry, you just lost that. You should have traded while the market was a little bit hotter. Now for the future, his prospects look really good. But Chris Godwin was on his way
buy low situation potentially.
Yeah, Chris Godwin was on his way to wide receiver 1 overall production last year. And I think he fits really well with what Baker Mayfield does. And I think the Buccaneers saw that and said, hey, we kind of lucked out with Baker. Let's bring the cast back. We've got Mike Evans, who's going to have a phenomenal season as well. I think it makes a ton of sense in real life and for fantasy. I mean, all he did was dislocate his ankle. Everyone's talking like this dude blew out both of his knees.
Exactly. He did not tear an ACL. It's not going to be a that situation.
He's fine. He's what, 29?
I like Chris Godwin. I just think
it's going to be great.
It's just the amount I don't like because like they need to pay defensive players eventually. Like, got to get guys on this team that make sense for defense. They brought back like Devante David. That dude is our age, guys. Like, maybe older. I'm not sure. And then like Vita Vea is probably around our age, if not a few years younger.
Devante David is older than all of us.
Yeah, like this is our defense, and it's like I just don't know if I agree. But
getting that bag.
Whatever. Again, Chris Godwin was headed towards like a max contract, and he tore his ACL, and then they lowballed the fuck out of him. So I do like appreciate him getting his bag still, but like if I'm the Bucks, like man, you have a window right now. Baker is signed to a semi-low contract. Bucky Irving's a rookie. Like let's go. Like we can win a championship.
Maybe that's their logic right here. Is they're just like let's pay Godwin now.
This is their piece. I'm just like afraid because like either him or Evans is gonna get hurt.
I mean, they go to the playoffs every year. They win the division every year. I mean, why not? You're just run it back. I mean, a lot of teams run it back with way worse than this.
Well, they should have brought it in Devante then. Like,
Godwin knows the team.
Kind of redundant with Evans, but still.
I would argue that Chris Godwin is twice as valuable as Dyami Brown. And that's pretty much what they did. At least twice as valuable.
I hope Cooper Kupp goes here too, man. Like I hope they just go all in because this team actually is.
That'd be awesome.
Good. And the third. I'm not saying Jalen McMillan's bad by any means because he's not. He can definitely be the third.
We all know that if Cooper Kupp was on this team in place of Jalen McMillan, or even if they split snaps, that is a way big improvement for this. And
maybe he does make a run stage of his career, and then you just got 4 wide receivers. Like it's never bad to have depth. I know, like it's definitely for fantasy, but like,
you still got Otten and. Yeah.
And the defense is not great, but the Reddick signing was good. I mean, they got him for cheap, and they got to go ahead and throw an edge rusher out there and see if he can do it. And they're not really paying anyone at this point because it's all. I mean, they did pay a little too much for Devante David, but for his age. But Vita Vea is out there getting a contract, and then it's basically all rookies. Like
they need to sign EJ Speed. I
That'd be
cannot
good.
believe he has not gotten paid yet.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Vita Vea hasn't?
No, EJ Speed.
Oh.
No,
He would
yeah.
be
Speed
the
would be good.
perfect compliment to David.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
Mosley.
they are missing another linebacker.
Probably wants too
but
much
maybe-
money.
Yeah. They need to hit up this draft and hit this draft right, and this team could be really fun. I mean, it's going to be fun anyway.
I like it. I don't think they're like Super Bowl caliber, but I think they're like top 4 in the NFC potential. I definitely think that could happen.
Yeah, I could
So,
see them,
we'll
honestly,
see.
like top 2. Like, I could see them being one of the teams that actually, like,
2 years ago, they were in the NFC Championship, right? Or was that before the NFC Championship?
those.
I can't remember.
I think it's divisional round or divisional round.
They were like play away from beating the Lions. They could have done it. All right. Next one on the list, 2 left. We got Darius Slayton back to the New York Giants. 3 years, $36 million. Everyone around the world groaned as soon as we all saw that contract. I don't know if you all heard that groan, but it was rough.
Are we sure Slayton's got 3 years left in him?
He could be there for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'd still.
He might
I mean,
play till 50, honestly.
right. 2050, we'll be looking in there and be like,
I just feel like
Slayton's still on this team?
He was the same way, and it's just like, okay.
I just like how they gave him the same contract that Saquon got last year.
Yeah, Joe. No, it's quite confusing.
Fucking ridiculous.
Quite confusing what the Giants did there, but whatever.
That was good. Sorry.
Look, the thing is, though, at the end of the day, if they upgrade at quarterback, maybe this is a good thing. Like, maybe it doesn't matter and Darius Slayton has a great year next year if they upgrade a quarterback. We haven't seen a great quarterback with the Giants in, like, almost a decade now. So, like, it's just time to maybe see something.
I can't wait for Russell Wilson to sign, and they say, "Oh, he threw a moon ball to Darius Slayton," because Russell Wilson's the only guy they say moon ball for. Everyone else is just a deep shot. I don't fucking understand it. Can't wait to hear it.
You could tell me that Darius Slayton was on the 2012 Super Bowl team, and I'd believe you. I would totally believe you. I'd be like, yeah, I think Darius Slayton was on that team.
He caught the game-winning touchdown in Super Bowl 5. You remember that?
Yeah. It was David Tyree or was that Darius Slayton? I can't remember.
Why is he the oldest young person in the league? He's only been
I don't know. It's confusing, but it feels like he's been there forever, milling about. Sterling Shepard did the same thing, by the way. Luckily he got out of there, but same thing. He's just been milling about for a long time.
Drafted at
the Giants don't let go of people unless they're really good.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, they can't be like Evan Engram. He also did the same thing. Let go of him. He was a star with Jacksonville.
By the way, Azeez Ojulari, since we're talking about the Giants, how has no one signed that dude yet? He's 24 years old.
You must know something. They must know something. That's all I can think.
I was hoping the Eagles were going to grab him because they need an edge rusher, and I was like, Ojulari looks great right now. I'd love Von Miller or something like that, but let's go get a young guy. Don't pay him that much. Yeah. Prove it deal.
Looked fantastic this year.
I liked Ojulari.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Kayvon was out, he was playing lights out. I liked him before he came in. Never really did anything, but when Kayvon went out, he went in, and I don't know. Anyway, I digress.
All right, last one on the list, the proverbial turd in the punch bowl, is Aaron Jones. Signs with the Vikings, 2 years, $20 million. I could have done without this news. I really could. I mean, I get it. Now Vikings fans have suddenly all of a sudden forgotten all the fumbles and stuff, and they're like, you know what? This was the right move. They should have brought him back. And I'm just like, really, though? We were thinking towards the end of last season, man, we could make a huge upgrade with Amari and Hampton or something on this team. But suddenly now the Vikings are like, you know what? This is a good idea. I'm glad we did this.
I like Aaron Jones, man, but he didn't have the clutch gene, man. It was he was when they needed him the most, he failed every time. It was just so sad. No, I hate this for the Vikings. Aaron Jones should have walked and went to a team. $20 million for 2 more years of Aaron Jones. No, thank you.
Most rushing yards of his whole career, 51 receptions,
5 fumbles,
7 touchdowns.
5 fumbles.
For fantasy, come on.
No, he was fine for fantasy. It's not. It has nothing to do with that. I'm not saying this. I hate this for the Vikings. And it's sad to say.
Fantasy points, not fantasy real life football.
I don't know, man.
Offense.
I just wanted to see a rookie quarterback, essentially, with a rookie running back, let's start this dynasty off right. We got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, like Jalen Naylor. Like, let's go. We got this. And
Picture
Hawkinson.
this. It's week 8. You're down by 2 points. Aaron Jones rips off a 20-yard run and fumbles it and loses, and the game's over. Your game's over. Everyone hates it.
And Justin Jefferson picks it up and scores, and you get 6 more points.
That's not how that works, unless you had Jefferson.
Can we talk about another re-signing, essentially? Sure. Mike Williams, guys.
Mike Williams, he has re-signed.
He's still a football player, apparently.
I mean, any love?
I
almost feel like he's a value now because everyone's just done with him. So I might be on the Mike wagon.
Mike wagon? No. The Mike wagon. He did something. I will say the one thing about this is behind Ladd, it's nobody right now. Like, I assume they're going to go draft one, but I had this team as pegged for a free agent signing of DJ Chark caliber or something. You know what I mean? Nothing crazy, but like
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp could.
I'm just gonna say every team that
he doesn't have to move. He doesn't have to move very far. It'd be great for him. You know what I mean?
Oh, they need a wide receiver. They need a running back. Cooper Kupp. Need a tight end. Cooper Kupp.
Run him up the middle.
You can do that too. That's the fun thing about Cooper Kupp. You can do that too.
For sure. I don't know.
All right. Is it
Chargers are so confusing.
My one signing.
Sure.
The man, the myth, the legend, A.J. Dillon. Another quad man to Philadelphia. How are we not going to talk about it? Man goes out and gets 600, 700 yards just because he's ugly and nobody wants to watch him. Not personally, but like,
Jesus Christ. Okay, nobody was going to say that.
It's not a guy. Watching him was ugly. No one was excited to see him.
Oh, okay.
It's
like nobody was going to call him ugly. I don't know why that even happened.
No, there's some ugly people.
I see what you're saying.
We're going to leave that away. But this man behind Saquon, if anything was to go wrong, I love this as a fill-in for Saquon. And just sitting on the roster for, I still actually don't know the salary yet. I looked it up earlier and it hadn't released. So I'm sure Howie's Roseman and the shit out of this right now. So
he's probably paying the Eagles.
Be graced with their glory and their presence.
Yeah. He's actually paying them $1 million to be on the team.
I think if you combine Will Shipley and AJ Dillon, you might get like 20% of Saquon. So I think
just combine them. Yeah, just have them both run at the same time, pushing one another, push around.
1/5 of Saquon, be great.
No, that was a great signing. Much rather have him than Gainwell. Just saying.
Why?
I appreciate that you are saying.
Say why?
Yeah.
Gainwell was just fine. His entire career. He had his chances. Every time he had a starting chance, never did anything with it. And he was only good when you least expected him to do anything. No. Like Gainwell would come in and you'd be like, oh, he's not going to do shit. Oh, man, there's a 40-yard run. And then you're like, all right, maybe Gainwell will do good this time. Stuffed at the line of scrimmage.
We had to compete with Boston Scott his entire career. I mean, how was that?
That is true. But last year he had the backup role to himself, and he was just fine.
He'll be perfect for the tush push, right, with those quads?
I think so. Maybe they're just, if Hurts ever goes down too, they got a second tush push guy.
Yeah.
That must be Roseman's thing. Just like, if they can squat 600 pounds, let's sign them.
I'm surprised that they haven't thought of Samaje Perine. He has big quads, but
oh no, get that guy off my team. I don't like him.
Who has the biggest quads in this draft?
In this draft? Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Eagles
are going right to DraftKings.
It's probably a defensive player, but I don't know.
No, he needs to be like a player that's not supposed to have quads.
You need to look that up. Probably Scatabo, honestly. That's probably the perfect player for the
Scatabo seems like an Eagle. He does. Everyone writes him off, and then all of a sudden he's just good. So
does seem like an Eagle.
I don't know how we're not cutting Shipley. Hopefully not.
No. He's basically a rookie.
Get a different white running back like Shipley. You're not it.
Yeah, I guess so. Scored in a Super Bowl though. He can take that to the grave. All right, that's all we got for this week. Free agent frenzy's not technically over because there's still some free agents left to drop here, but we'll update that at the beginning of the next show. Next week, we are going to do Mock Draft 3.0. We have different players going different spots now because, they have addressed some things in free agency, especially defense, which we didn't even talk about today. Like, that definitely is going to change some of the outlook for our first round as well. The tight ends, both of the tight ends we had going to the Bengals and the Broncos. Guess what? They've addressed both of those, so probably going to have to move our expectations there as well. So we've got, quite a bit to update in next week's mock draft. So without further ado, Joe, get us out of here.
Buy your Expo tickets, have parking lot beers with us in Canton, Ohio. No better place. Go to the IDP Plus website and hit us up on all the socials. We love you guys. Possums, good night.
Max of 17 beers.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.